excited that you've joined me
Sorry.
today. Like Sarah said, I am an instructional coach in Iowa. I'm actually a 5th through 12th grade instructional coach, and we are a small enough district that I am a coach for all content areas. So 5th through 12th grade keeps me very busy, and it keeps me always learning because my background before becoming a coach was in secondary English. And so I can diagram any sentence for you, but when it comes to some science standards and concepts, that might not be my strongest suit, but it's been a lot of fun over the last 5 years developing professionally in a lot of different content areas to best support my teachers. I'm also a CAPS instructor, and CAPS stands for the Center for Advanced Professional Studies. So I work with 11th and 12th grade students on career and future ready skills and connecting them with the community to do real world projects, which has been very rewarding. So on the screen right now, I have the bit.ly link, which is also, like Sarah said, in our resources tab. And then I have my email so that after this session, if you have any questions for me or if you'd like to follow up with some ideas, I'd love to connect with you and maybe continue helping build this journey as all of us coaches figure out how to use this well in our context. So before I start, I want to give you a little overview of my coaching philosophy. I am a younger instructional coach. Before I became one, my predecessor was probably in her late 50s when she became the instructional coach. So she had many years of coaching and teaching under her belt before she retired. And so coming in when I started at 28, there's a lot of teachers in your district who say, honey, I've been teaching longer than you've been alive. Why are you now my instructional coach? And it's a fair question. And so one of the things I found is when I'm first talking about who I am, my coaching philosophy is very important for everyone to know. And so when I explain my coaching philosophy, I always start with I'm a partner with peers. So I am not an administrator by any means. I have no evaluation or judgmental roles. My job is to be your partner so that I can help you grow in any area you feel is important to you and important to your students. And my biggest goal is to promote independence with my fellow educators and helping them build confidence in their practices. Um, so if you've been in coaching for a while, you know that there's several different models that you can follow for coaching. My preference has always been Jim Knight and Diane Sweeney and doing a combination of their philosophy and practices. And so when I first joined the team as an instructional coach, I learned very quickly that teachers and fellow educators don't need a coach, don't think they need a coach unless they see a personal need for a change. And if you don't see any need for change or growth, coaches are seem like an additional burden or extra work that you just don't need in your day. And so that's been my biggest thing. When I started, we joined Swivl and started using their original robots so that we could record lessons for teachers. And then they could watch it and they can decide based on their videos what they wanted to work on and what they wanted to grow in. That way, it was all their personal choice, but also driven by their own motivation to improve. And I was just the partner in that improvement. So hopefully that gives you a little background into my coaching philosophy as I give you more insight into how I use Swivl every day. So for fun, I thought I would just kind of poll the audience with this live poll from Canva. I'd love to know what your experience is with Swivl or MirrorTalk. Go ahead, if you have this up on your bit.ly on a different device, you can always just click on the poll live. Otherwise, you can put it in the chat if you're a newbie, beginner, practitioner, or expert.
I love seeing all those votes come in. It's really fun.
I was really excited for the poll because I hadn't done it before. So I'm like, let's
Yeah.
see how this works.
And it's cool to see the votes come in. And just letting you know, Katie, for everybody, I'm actually using M2 behind me to listen to our presentation today and give us tips along the way. And just as before Katie asked you to take the poll, M2 said, you should encourage your participants to share their own experience or thoughts about coaching from a collaborative environment.
Perfect.
So I think we're on the right track.
Well, wonderful. Thank you so much to those of you who have voted. Um, so far, it looks like we have a lot of experienced users, which is fantastic. Um, Wonderful. That definitely helps me understand um, kind of how much information to share and how deep to go. So thank you for doing that. Okay, we'll go on to the next slide here. So for Swivl, like I mentioned, we started using it in my district back in 2021. So we've used it for a couple years now, and we used the original robot. So since then, I've really integrated Swivl into as many areas of coaching as I can. Like I mentioned before, I am a 5 through 12 instructional coach in all content areas, and I'm also our mentoring program uh, leader. So I developed the mentoring program that we have right now, and we do everything in-house for our first and second year teachers. And that's been one of the best things we've done in our district as far as retention for our new teachers, and just helping them grow and feel confident in their practice. So as I go through here, I just wanted to give you that kind of a background. So personally, I use MirrorTalk as my co-coach, where oftentimes I feel like coaching is very much an island for the coach. It feels like I am consistently checking in with all my teachers, making sure they know that they have that support from a peer. But oftentimes, because we're a small district and I'm the only coach, I don't have that same support myself. So MirrorTalk has really been a great way for me to talk through issues or talk through ideas, brainstorm ideas I want to do with my colleagues or with our district. And it's been a very supportive system for that. I also use it in my coaching cycles and in my mentoring program. I always use it to record lessons for our teachers. Just like Jim Knight talks about in his work, we record at the beginning of a coaching cycle so that we have a clear vision of what's actually happening in the classroom. It's objective. Video is completely objective, so it's not me coming in, taking notes, and telling the teacher what I think they should improve on or work on. They get to see that for themselves, and then they get to set student-centered goals based on the video. And so I've used reflectivity primarily for that in the past, where we would upload the video, share that with the teacher, and then I could go in and watch it. They can watch it, and we can make comments, use rubrics to kind of follow what we're looking for as far as expectations for new teachers in Iowa. And that's been a fantastic way to collaborate with teachers. M2 now does that, where you can record the video and still have that opportunity and reflectivity. But then it also gives you that feedback from AI on the teaching perspective. And so I'll get more into that later, but that's been a wonderful change. We use it to record list lessons and receive feedback for instruction and management. Um, I've used MirrorTalk a lot for my teachers that are in coaching cycles to reflect on their goals and their progress. Um, Rather than meeting with me as much. So I'm one person, I serve about 30 some teachers. And so it's very hard for me to be able to spend time in frequent conversations during coaching cycles when I have multiple coaching cycles happening simultaneously. So it's been really nice to be able to have the teachers reflect with MirrorTalk. And then when we do get together, the teachers have already brainstormed what they want to do differently or how they want to modify their goal or their practice with the coaching cycle, and we can move forward from there. So if anything, I found MirrorTalk to kind of expedite growth. It makes it faster for our teachers, and it makes it feel like coaching cycles are even more valuable to them. And then I have my mentoring first and second year teachers who are in our program also set goals and reflect with MirrorTalk. So that's been wonderful. With my students, so I mentioned I'm a CAPS instructor, so I have higher level 11th and 12th grade students. So we use MirrorTalk again for reflecting on their goals, and I use questions a lot where I manually put out a reflection where I put all the questions in myself and have the students reflect on that. Reflecting on their growth and their learning targets and in our units has been very beneficial. And then MirrorTalk has a lot of pre-made templates that you can simply click on and utilize to either use it simply as it is, or you can modify it for your own purposes, which has been very nice too in the moment. So with all of that being said, I would love for us to go into a breakout room now, and Sarah's going to um, split you up into those breakout rooms. We'll give you about 5 minutes, and I'd love while you're in that room to answer these three prompts. So the first one is to introduce yourself. So what grade levels do you teach or coach, content areas, and then how have you or how do you implement Swivl products in coaching? And then what roadblocks have you encountered or do you anticipate encountering if you're just starting to integrate Swivl into coaching? Well, welcome back, everybody. Hopefully you had a great breakout session, and Sarah and I were just talking about how this Zoom is different than other Zooms we've been in before. So our apologies for the odd countdowns and messages.
I'm using Zoom
I
events, which I'm new to, so that was a little bit different.
Right.
It's okay.
Okay, so the next thing I want to talk to you about is the reality of coaching and introducing it to teachers. When I first learned about Swivl, I expected my coworkers to respond to all of the exciting features and opportunities that Swivl had with the following emojis on my screen: the thumbs up, the heart, the excitement, the wow. As you can expect, there were some teachers that did respond with a very excited attitude, but I met with some other responses as well. So, what I did is I broke my experience into three categories: the excited teacher, the ignorant teacher, and the skeptic. So this has been my experience, and I'm excited or interested to hear what you have had as well. But in the past, when I have introduced Swivl, MirrorTalk, and now M2, which is brand new that I've been rolling out with my school district, I found that I have some very excited teachers. They hear about it and they immediately just start launching into all the different things that they could use it for, how this could benefit their students. They want me in their room tomorrow with the robot, and they want to start using it to get feedback for themselves, to interact with their students. They're just totally on board. Unfortunately, I would say that's about 10 to 15% of the teachers in my in my district or that I've worked with over the years. The rest of them fall into the other two categories, either the ignorant or the skeptic. So the ignorant teachers that I have worked with are those that are willfully ignorant. So understand that I've introduced this to them. I've been talking to them a little bit about it, but these are the teachers that hear about Swivl and they immediately think, oh, either this is unnecessary or an extra burden, extra work for me, or this just seems confusing. And rather than asking questions or clarifying, actually sharing that opinion with me, they kind of leave the professional development or the conversation, and they're content to go back to their own classrooms using what they've always used for technology. And usually what happens when I talk about how they use it for kids, they look at it and say, what I have going on already works for kids. I don't need anything more in my room. So that's my willfully ignorant peers. And then I have the skeptics. And I would say there's more skeptics than there are ignorant teachers, and this is why. I think in Northwest Iowa, we live in a very rural, farm-focused area. I found that technology is usually slow to come here, and technology is usually viewed as more of a um, it's exciting, it's fun, but it's not necessarily necessary. So the skeptical teachers that I work with hear about Swivl and they immediately start objecting to the potential negative impact or negative effects that AI could have on student thinking or student effort. They also tell me that, the teacher only focus, like if I say, okay, you don't feel comfortable using it with students, look at what it can do for you. how it can benefit you as professional development. And they go, oh, no, I don't need anybody to judge me. I definitely don't need the computer to do it. And I can't do anything but kind of smile because I can't blame them for having this more skeptical view of technology, especially with AI being so new. Um, but what I found a lot with coaching in general is that whether it's me coming into the classroom or AI being in the classroom giving them feedback, feedback is scary to teachers. It's scary because they think either one, it will offend them because they thought they did a great job and the computer might give them constructive criticism, or it'll challenge their own view of their own teaching. I have a lot of veteran teachers that think they are fantastic and they do a great job, but they've gotten into that mentality of, I really don't need to grow anymore. I'm at the best that I've ever been. So for someone to come in their classroom or a computer to come in their classroom and say, "Oh, look at these areas you could improve on," it almost comes um, as a punch to the gut of their self-esteem or their perception of their own greatness, when that's really not how it's supposed to be, but or not intended that way, but it's what they anticipate will happen. So there's a lot of fear there when it comes to coaching too. So I know we just came out of a breakout room, but I hope this gets you really excited because this is the stuff in coaching that other coaches, for me, I don't have other coaches to really talk about this stuff with. So it's nice to be with everybody else. So one, I'd love to hear how you have approached or will approach each type of these teachers, the excited, the ignorant, and the skeptic, to help them see the value of Swivl in their classroom. And if you have already encountered the ignorant or the skeptical teacher, how do you transform that into excitement? How have you done it, or what strategies have you used to help them get over um, that hump that they personally have to embrace this new technology? So take about 5 minutes in your breakout groups, and then we'll come back together. Welcome back, guys. I hope you had a great discussion. I would love for one or two of you, if you'd be willing to kind of share some of the things you talked about in your breakout group as far as how you've approached reluctant teachers and how you've turned reluctant teachers into very pro Swivl teachers.
Since I forgot what I was going to say before, and now I remembered as soon as we got back to the big group, I'll go. We talked about taking the reluctant teacher out of the equation and modeling a lesson ourselves in the classroom so that the mirror is giving us the feedback, not the teacher. And what I forgot to say was it also shows how it takes the personal piece out of it. There's not a person judging you, so it really kind of makes it less scary because nobody else is seeing it. And once they realize nobody else is seeing it, it kind of like calms people down.
Oh, I love that. I think that's so valuable for both of those, to have you be the one that is the one giving the lesson and getting the feedback so they get to see how valuable the feedback is. That's awesome. Any others? Oh, good. So thank you, Reva. So in the chat, she shared that having an excited or willing participant trying it and then sharing that experience with the ignorant or skeptical teachers can be very valuable. That is so true. I found that my teachers with a lot of social capital are the ones I love to tap who are willing to try it and then have them share their experience. That one takes the fear out of it for a lot of teachers, and it's almost like it gets them riled up to kind of get on board with somebody who's already doing awesome things and has a lot of positive influence in the district. So that's awesome. I hope you had some really valuable conversations and had some great ideas that you heard. Some things I wanted to share with you after I've gone through a lot of this with my teaching staff. It's my coaching message to everyone is that Swivl is valuable, it's safe, and it's necessary. So my biggest suggestion for you is really anticipate the hesitations and the objections that you're going to hear from teachers. And if you don't know what some of those are going to be, feel free to reach out to any of the Mirror mentors or Sarah and just kind of talk through that, because we've all run into those in our districts and can talk to you about some of the things you might encounter. And then just be prepared with facts about the experience and facts about the software that will hopefully ease their hesitancy, ease their reluctance, and maybe get them on board. And sometimes it just takes a lot of exposure to the technology for them to realize it's finally going to be something they're interested in. And so I think that's been something I found too, is don't be afraid to use it often or carry it around a lot and talk about it a lot, so that it just becomes the new normal, that that's something that's available to them. And then when it's normal, it's no longer scary or intimidating, where new technology can sort of be when it's first introduced. So the last thing I wanted to share with you is just my perspective on M2 and how I envision using it in my coaching role. I haven't had a lot of practice with it, but one of the things I'm excited for it to do is be my own instructional coach, which right now Sarah is running M2 in the background of our session right now. And so it's giving me feedback on my own presentation and giving me some ideas for how I can do better. And I want to do that when I'm doing coaching cycles, where I'll tell a teacher, in this coaching meeting, I'd love to put M2 in the background, and I'd love for it to give me feedback on how I can coach better. And so I think that's a really valuable way to use it. I'd love to have more objective feedback through recording and listening to lessons for teachers. Another thing is, because I'm only one instructional coach and I have 30 teachers I'm serving, it's really nice to be able to put the M2 in the classroom and have it listen while I'm in a different classroom listening. And it almost like it clones me. I'm able to be in more places at once, and then it gives valuable feedback, but I can also watch the recording later of what the teacher did while I wasn't there, and then follow up with that teacher. So from a coaching perspective, it saves me a lot of time without the teacher losing momentum in that coaching work, to keep going and keep getting feedback. I think it's really cool to show teachers that it's a daily feedback provider. Like, no matter what you're doing, when you're doing it in your classroom, you can turn on M2 for 10 minutes, for 30 minutes, and get feedback. And then when you're done with it, you can trash it. Nobody has to see it but you. And I think that's what teachers are assuming too, is that, well, other people are going to watch this and judge me. No, on your own device, or not your own device, your own account, you have complete control of that. Nobody else sees it. And when you're done with it, you can just throw it away. And so overall, this is how I envision using M2 more and more in my district. And this fall, we're expecting our second child. And so when I'm on maternity leave, I'm looking forward to the M2 being able to continue working with our teachers and helping them improve while I can't be here in person. But them still having that coaching aspect, maybe that when I'm not here, it can give them. So thank you so much for your time. I just wanted to share with you that Sarah has placed a reflection, a MirrorTalk reflection in the resources for you, that if you'd have some time today or want to do it later, go ahead and click on it and kind of reflect on what we've talked about today in this workshop. Again, my information is on the screen, that if you'd like to connect later on, I'd love to email with you, or we could even do another Google Meet or Zoom, and just talk more about coaching and Swivl. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Katie. And I just activated that link in the resources. So if everybody does click on the MirrorTalk reflection link, it should take you into a group that is called Katie's Workshop. And there is the assignment called Coaching Reflection. And I set it up as a creative focus. So what that means is it's going to ask you to think about what it is that you kind of creating a philosophy or thinking about a philosophy in the way Katie's been mentioning or weaving her own philosophy in coaching throughout her session today. So it asks you to kind of think about what yours is and then how you might facilitate changes in perspectives or shifts. And so if you haven't dabbled lately in too much mirror talk reflection, this might remind you about the expansive way it helps you think. And that's really what we're getting at when we approach reflection and feedback. So I would love to see a few people, like Katie said, you could do it right when we leave this session, or you could do it later. But once you click on it, you'll be in that group, and then you can go back to it when you have like 5 minutes or whatever. We know they don't take too long. And that will be a cool little way to end this cycle, I think. I'm just gonna ask M2. Hey, M2. Whoops, I should hit the right button. Hey, M2. What are some ways that Katie's participants in this workshop could use M2 and Mirror Talk tomorrow to be better reflective thinkers? Let's see.
Use M2 and MirrorTalk in various ways to enhance reflection. They could use M2 to record a lesson and then review the feedback to see what went well and what could be improved. They might also use MirrorTalk to set personal goals and reflect on their teaching practices, either on their own or with a peer. This can help them become more reflective and intentional in their teaching, starting as soon as tomorrow.
Yeah. And then he'll blink at you. So that's just one little example of how we're encouraging you to use it in session rather than just waiting till afterwards. I'm just going to lay him down for a second there. And I think that's it. I'm going to also I realized I didn't activate it. I'm going to activate one more link. If you're not yet a member of the reflective educator community that I've been sort of starting to cultivate, there's a link there that is an invite for you to join. Most of the folks in this room are members already, including all of our Mirror mentors. And that is where I post lots of stuff before it is really shown anywhere else, or product releases before other people have seen them, or that before they're announced publicly. There's lots of discussion going on in there. You can ask questions, you can introduce yourself, meet other people. So it's just this little fledgling beginning, but I'm starting to trying to keep it small for now, but trying to put the invite out there to people that are now showing up to workshops like this, because I think you are the folks that are looking to connect more deeply and learn how to use something like M2 right when it's really a brand new tool, and how to use it in conjunction with the way other teachers are using it. So I would love for some of you who are not in there yet to jump in and say hi and get to know each other. And you'll see people in this room. Katie's in there. And all of our resources are in there as well. So I think it's a really helpful community to sort of start to explore and get to know. And otherwise, I think that's it for today. Does anybody have any questions? Anything last minute goodbyes or thank yous, or thank you, Katie. Snaps for Katie.
Thank you guys very much.
And a million hearts. We'll put a million hearts up there. There you go. Okay, thank you, everybody. If you do have a question, you want to stay for a second after everyone leaves and you want to voice it, that's totally fine too. Or you want to ask me something, whatever you want. Thank you, everybody.